Welcome, everybody. Midlife Vices, episode 242. Sir, yes, sir. If it's your first time watching, thanks for joining us. Jim and I put the show together to talk about stuff we like, whether it's TV, movies, comics, or wherever the conversation takes us. Each week, we're going to give you our top 10 list on random pop culture topics. This week's topics, the top 10 military movies, shows, cartoons, whatever we may have. Whenever possible, we're going to get guests to join us because honestly, like a race, 3 legs makes it better. That being said, say hello to my better half, Jim, and give a big welcome to first-time guest as the guy who was last seen out in the cold, much like our weatherman, Sunny D. It's Jeff Howell. What's going on, guys?
Not much, Steve. Jeff, how hard was it to talk your wife into doing that skit?
Oh, it was pretty funny. When I originally was talking with her, she was a little bit into it, but definitely my daughter was the one in the background kind of, I would say, direct everything going on. So she was happy to do it. She kind of smirked at me. She's like, guys who like comics were just another kid. So she just thought I was a kid.
Yeah, those were really cool videos. That was really good. Yeah, that was there was some good stuff that night, but that was my favorite kind of thing going on right there. That was hilarious. Hilarious stuff. So this is the first time for anybody watching that we've had 3 of us on, I believe, that are all current or ex-military. Myself, I was in the Air Force for 20 years and retired. And Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, currently in Air Force Reserves. I've actually been a reservist my entire career. At 16 good years, so I've got that in right now. Currently serving a satellite systems operator. So it's been great.
Nice. And Jim?
I was the short term of the group. I was 3 years active duty, a few years reserves, and I did not like the reserves at all, so I jumped ship pretty quick out of that.
Right. So it's a lot like you are with TV shows and movies. If it runs too long, you just kind of...
Yes. Yeah. 20 years, can't even imagine.
Neither can I. That was...
Although I would be drawing a pension now if I would have stayed in as well. So
that's definitely a bonus, for sure.
I got to say, I've got, like this 3 to 4 year last stint as a reservist. And boy, it's hard. There's some times I'm just like, I've got the games. I'm like, I've had enough of games. And it's like, I got to stay the course, get that reserve retirement.
It just never fails that your drill weekend is on a weekend that something's going on with family or a kid's birthday. It just never failed.
I'm literally going to be heading down when my son's birthday. Like, this is fun.
Yeah, it just. And were you active duty ever, Jeff?
I wasn't ever active duty, but I've been active duty on orders. So, like as a reservist, you can be put on orders for a couple of years. So I did a lot of shift work for quite a few years, which that does some damage to your body. I did shift work for probably close to 10 years. So
that's a nightmare.
Highly recommend somebody never ever do that ever again.
Shift work should be outlawed. Like whether it's military, non-military, whatever, it's just brutal.
Yeah, I had a real hard time going from active duty to the reserves because it was so nonchalant, and this was before 9/11, so it was just, it was hard being told. So I got to my reserve unit and had to teach people how to drive Humvees, and I wasn't a driver.
That sounds like a typical military thing, right? You have no idea what to do.
I was a radar tech in the Army, so I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that because I came in before 9/11 and was in after 9/11, so I was almost half and half. And seeing that change, even with the Air Force, where prior to 9/11, it was I threw the golf thing in there, just kind of a stereotypical Air Force thing, right? While everybody else is working, we're out golfing or whatever we're doing. That's before 9/11, that was pretty laid back, and then after 9/11 it got pretty they tried to make us more like the Army with the fitness programs and the deploying with the Army quite a bit, that sort of thing. I was never a fan of that because I didn't join to be in the Army, but It was one of those things. But yeah, just the changes in that time frame, knowing what it was like before and after. So I guess it's good for people who come in after didn't see how laid back it was
Well,
before.
yeah, how easy it was to get on post before.
Right? Yeah, you didn't need an ID card.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
very
you
good
just
point.
drove
Yeah,
on.
I grew up in Colorado Springs, and I guess people don't realize there's 5 bases in the Springs alone. So like the Academy, Peterson, yeah, you could just go out there all the time. But now, yeah, no way.
Yeah. So just big changes. So for those watching tonight, that is going to be our list, is our top 10 military shows or movies. But before we get to that, we got a couple other things we want to do first. So we are going to start off with our best of the week. So for you, Jeff, we'll start with you. What was the best thing you watched or read this week?
I've actually got my bag over here. I was prepared. I would probably say the best thing I read, and I've still got a large stack to go through. I should cover off there. As soon as I read it, I was halfway through reading it, and then I went to my list and went ahead and ordered it. But Nemesis Reloaded, I thought it's got a lot of shit on there, probably because of the other monitors. For me, the book just was an action-packed book, from the get-go, quick start right away. It was just right as soon as I read it, I was like, holy cow, yeah, I want the next one to that one.
Right.
And then,
did you read the original Nemesis, or is that your
No,
first?
I haven't read it yet, and I asked my store if they had it. Didn't seem like they had it, so I'm gonna have to get caught up on that one.
Yeah. Are you a Mark Millar fan?
Here and there, quite a bit. The first series of Magic Order I really liked the first one, and then kind of second and third. I think the fourth is getting ready to start. Kind of tapered off a little bit. And the other one, I'm trying to think of the other one I just really, really loved. It was the Spy one. It was just 4 or 5 issues that he just did too. So here and there.
King of Spies.
Yeah, that one. Yep. That one was really good.
I don't think I've finished that yet.
Oh, if you've got that in trade, I'm assuming that trade, it was one fell swoop. Don't want to give away the ending, but the ending is really, really good.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I should probably buy that in trade because I'll never read the floppies that I have.
Yeah, it's hard to sometimes. Yeah, I've got that stack. It was 3 weeks. I've been back, so I've got all this I got to catch up on, and a few trades that are sitting there waiting as well.
All right. Nice. Yeah. I'm a fan of Millar. I like a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
Huck is really good. Prodigy is really good. I recommend reading those two for sure.
A list of other stuff to read.
Yeah. Huck is 4 issues. Prodigy, I believe, is 5 issues. So they're real quick reads, probably out there in a single trade somewhere.
Oh, yeah. I know Huck is.
Yeah. So good stuff. All right, Jim, what about you?
Well, Modern Family is the best thing I've watched this week.
Uh-huh.
I think I send you a tweet every time, or DM every time I'm watching it. It's this show is just fantastic. That show it makes me laugh every episode. There's something. Best thing I've read. Well, we're going to be talking about it anyway. Probably Squirrel Girl.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a hard time saying squirrel.
And Squirrel Girl back to back is really tough. I almost feel like they went with that name on purpose. Just
to make me look like an idiot. I don't need any help.
Yeah. Just to make it difficult to say. I agree. You do not.
Yeah. Thanks for the confidence.
Cool. My best of the week, I've been talking about it with you and Chris quite a bit. The Menu. We watched this the other night. Just a fantastic. I love this movie so much. It was a lot of fun, just hilarious. First off, I want to say to Adam, it's pronounced Rafe Fiennes. He'll know what that means because he was talking about it on his show.
Episode of corrections of things that Adam has said, and maybe that's another.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a weekly segment. Correct Adam or set Adam straight or something like that. But Rafe Fiennes. Second is hilarious from start to finish. It's just hilarious. It is really, really funny. But what I want to do here is I never really do official reviews But so you guys will understand where I'm coming from. This is a short review, and I just want to get a little detailed because I like this one so much. So here it goes. The Menu is a horror thriller, dark comedy.
And recommends that others give it a shot.
Nothing, Steve.
Yeah, I think you went on mute somehow. Nope.
What happened there?
We're gonna have to.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you
Steve
now.
is rambling on about the movie, given his review. Please remember that he has no idea what he's talking about. He's using words he's heard actual reviewers use, but doesn't have a clue what they actually mean. This isn't surprising, as it's pretty much the case for anything he talks about. Just know that he liked the movie, thought it was funny, and recommends that others give it a shot.
And so she's the one that's in. She's in New Mutants. She's the one who plays Ileana, and she's just a great character. So it was definitely a lot of fun to watch, and I highly recommend it. So
What was that called again?
The Menu.
Okay.
The Menu. So there we go. One of my favorites of all time. Literally of all time. Well,
Yeah,
horror movie.
My wife and I, we did catch it. Yeah, it like when you're watching that movie, you're kind of there's a part where you're kind of sitting there waiting. You're like, okay, I'm waiting. We're gonna start getting kind of crazy here, and then all of a sudden it was like, bam, like, oh, all right, we're on an
So
adventure.
what it reminded me of, I don't know if you remember. Well, I know you probably remember it, but from Dusk Till Dawn. Did you ever watch that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the scene where it just changes, like they go to the club, they're there. It's just kind of a weird, strange show up to there, and then
Salma Hayek.
Selma Hayek's on stage, and then she strips, and then everything just changes. Like that's kind of the moment
You become a man.
that the Menu had. Very, very similar to where it just completely changes, and it's just a great moment.
And all I'll say is some. I just.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
even at what 50 plus now, I'm good Lord. Anyways.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Who's the actress in the Wrestler and Marissa Tomei? Aunt May.
Oh, Aunt May.
Right, yeah.
She's old, and she is still unbelievably good looking.
She's so old.
It's funny, like the conversations like we've had, like military when I was on shift. One guy was saying she's the career killer for a lot of other guys in like movies. So it's like whenever she's like appeared in a movie, like she's been playing movies so long, like she would like kill these guys for like a certain period of time. Like whatever you saw as a main character in a movie with her, you just see their career kind of.
That's funny. I never thought about it. Because she's been in with Joe Pesci, of course, in My Cousin
His
Vinny.
career kind of took off after his first movie with her, though.
Yeah, maybe he's the opposite effect. Maybe it's the height ratio.
Maybe. Yeah, it's inversely proportional. That's right.
I like that.
Right. Nice. All right. So that was our best of the week segment. I'm going to be bringing more of those official reviews because I think you guys kind of need some seriousness in the show. So next we've got Going on a Jog. As you know, if you've been watching, this is very much like LNC's Going on a Run, except a lot less intense. We've been doing three books. And let me bring them up here on the screen for you. Actually, I will not bring them up on the screen for you.
Can you take
because I don't have them. Yeah, I don't have them. I don't know what happened to them.
Can you take the tone down?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, too loud. What's going on?
Yeah,
Now you're just asking for
I think it's
much.
a reference to my abs.
Very, very tone. So we've been reviewing a few books. Jim and I have been reading one issue a week of Invincible, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, and JSA. And we will start. I'll let Jim actually go into it this week.
Jeff, have you read any of these books? I'm just curious.
The only one that I have is Invincible. The 3 compendiums, and yeah, I've read the whole gambit for Invincible. It's
Okay.
I like it. I like it quite a bit.
So we've read issue 3 of each book this week.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just going to give my favorite, my order here.
Okay.
I think the Invincible, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl is blowing me away. I did not expect to like this comic.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. It makes me
It is.
laugh every time. And then my second comic would be JSA this week. And then followed by Invincible. Invincible was good. It just, finally in JSA, we got to some plot.
Yeah.
And I feel like Invincible was, I don't know. I don't think it went too far past the second issue.
It was very much filler with Dad and Invincible until like the last page.
Yeah, I think it was just to get rid of Dad.
Right.
Have Invincible do whatever he's going to do.
Right.
Kind of guessing here because I don't know.
But yeah, it was an average issue.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't bad. I'd give that 3 pouches.
You would give that 3 pouches. I would also give that.
Now both
3 pouches. JSA, JSA, like you said, there was more focus, more direction for sure, and it narrowed down the characters, and we know what they're after.
Yeah,
right.
There was a plot. I knew what was going on.
They're after Baby Fate, basically.
Yes.
Baby
and
Fate.
it was good. I enjoyed it.
It was.
Yeah, I don't think I can give either one of them 5 pouches, but I think JSA and Squirrel Girl get a 4.
I agree. Unbeatable Squirrel Girl is what I feel like Spider-Man should always be. Like, it is fun. She's great. Hilarious. My favorite part is the subtext. I tweeted you that.
What's underneath the panels?
Yeah. One of them is my favorite. I can't remember what it was now, but I remember it was funny. It cracked me up. So, are you a fan of Invincible, Jeff? You like?
I think I like sometimes having like your single issues, your copies, and then like having like a few trades. It's kind of nice every once in a while just to have a compendium that kind of sits in the back in case you kind of get through some of those other things. Sure. So that was Invincible for me, was like having those just like compendium pieces.
Right.
And the biggest thing I can say for Invincible that I like, I wouldn't say I'm like a huge fan. I say it's a good book, and I like how I really look at the characters, how they start. So you guys are like in age 1, 2, and 3, and like how Invincible is now versus how he is like towards like into the run, because it's Robert Kirkman. So like just like Walking Dead, I have like the whole Walking Dead series, like kind of the changes and things that happen throughout life for those characters and how are kind of like at the end how different they are.
Gotcha. Good. Nice. Yeah. It's good. It's good. We'll see where we go with it. I think I'll definitely be sticking with Squirrel Girl.
I'm probably going to stick with all of them. I don't know how.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as for show purposes.
Yeah, for the show.
I don't know. We may change that up here real soon. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Read Invincible now.
Yeah. Gotcha. I'm with you on that. Definitely. So, all right. Next up.
Oh yes. Wow.
You show me yours and I'll show you mine. So what do you got for us, Jeff?
All right. So since it was I actually got a couple of things, but I'll show the one. Depends on how much time we got, I guess.
You're fine.
The military that I was a part of when I first started my career, one is 8 Swiss. It's Space Warning Squadron. The other one was 8 Swiss, so another Space Warning Squadron. But early in my career, I had signed for like the 6 years, and my 6 years was coming up, and I thought I was done with the military, but I came back here because I missed a few things about it. But they got me this thing. I'll have to see how well it can show up. So what it is 8 Swiss and Det 8 Swiss are the spiders, the scorpions. So it has like the logo of the units in the back, nice. And then this is like a encapsulated live, like, spider and scorpion that's there. And I don't know. I would say of all the things I've gotten through the military, this was kind of the coolest thing I think I ever got from them.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's nice. And you can show more.
Yeah.
Thanks for
I got
sharing.
nothing.
All right. I kind of show this one because I think it's kind of cool. I got this 2019, so it's like pretty recent. They always give you like this is the NCO of the year award. So it was just the one I got for my unit. So I just kind of think it's pretty cool. The eagle and the flag and stuff there. So it just has the unit and ends the year for my unit.
Nice. I like it.
Nice.
And then I had, in a military guy, how about you guys and your career in Air Force and Space Force, you always got your plethora of coins.
Yeah.
So
Lost every one of them I had.
The first one you get when you're in the Air Force, you get your coin when you get kind of your military basic, your little camp loot stuff. So I still have my original coin that I got from basic in
Nice.
San Antonio.
So my last 6 months in the Army, I drove around visiting generals that came to the post. So I got a ton of coins. However, I've lost every one of them. I mean, I remember giving them to my grandfather because he was in the military, and so I gave them to him to hold on while I was. I can't remember if I was in Alaska or what I was working, and so I gave him, and then I've never seen them since. So I have no idea where they're at.
Oh, holy cow! Yeah, I've got a bottle of them.
Yeah. Nice. And congratulations on the NCO of the year.
Yeah.
No, thanks. Yeah, I got 2019, 2020, I think even 21. Now I'm a senior NCO. I'm an E7. I'm a master sergeant now. So
Gotcha. Nice. All right, Jim, what do you got for us?
I'm going with the game since I have nothing military related since I lost it all. Just a board game. Dead of Winter. You want to talk about, that Robert Kirkman show, The Walking Dead. That's pretty much it in a board game. It's a cooperative game, and there can be a traitor. Game's a lot of fun. Probably my favorite.
Have you played it quite a bit? I have, and I've never played it. Like somebody literally gave me the game, and I don't know, like my wife and my kids, like I try to play games with them all the time. Like they're more interested in card games than they are board games like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm really interested to see how it is because like I have it, I haven't played it ever.
It's a lot of fun. The problem with games like this is they take so long to set up. There's a lot of miniature, not miniatures, but cut out zombies and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, if you can get them to sit down and play it, it's a lot of fun. It's my wife actually enjoys this game. We haven't played it probably since we got married, so probably haven't played it in 6 years. But it's a great game.
It's great.
It's awesome. It's my table every 6 years. Fantastic.
Love it. All right. Yeah, I don't have anything military related either, but I do have a couple new Donatello covers here.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
So these are both on the Macro series, Donatello Macro series. We got that one there. And then this one here.
Oh,
which
that's
is pretty cool.
Well, that's the one I saw. Yeah.
So
yeah, that one's pretty awesome.
So
Have
yep.
you
So
read
I'm
that
getting
at all,
there.
Jeff? I'm sorry.
What's that?
Oh, I thought Jim asked a question.
Yeah, I asked if you had read any of the IDW Turtles book.
I picked up the actually I was going to ask that. I picked up the Last Ronin, so I have each of the single issues for that. And then I have the trade. I was trying to because like the single issues for that like a long time between each of the singles that they had. And then I wanted it in trade, and I didn't even know that other issue was coming out. Like that's my next read in my pile right now is that next one. I was going to ask Steve what you could recommend a like Turtles book series. Which one do you have like a favorite read for the Turtles?
Well, really, like along with Jim, I've only read the IDW so far. Honestly, I just got into Turtles like 6 months ago. So
Really? Okay.
Last Ronin's great too. Those
Yeah,
two runs as a mini, but as the ongoing, the IDW, it's just I have a hard time recalling what happens in comic books, but with Turtles, I can go 3-4 weeks without reading an issue and pick it up right in the middle, and I know where I'm at, and I remember all the characters, and I know the story that's going on. There's something about the way it's written that just
That's
makes
awesome.
it easy to read and easy to follow, even though it's not like
every character is important.
They are.
That's what I think they do better than most runs I've ever read, is that they introduce a character and there's a reason he's coming back later. And it could be a minor character. He's coming back.
Yeah.
It's
That feels like Spawn right now, like the different like breakout Spawn and all these characters like coming back and everything. It's like they're all like coming back. Yeah, I don't know. With reading The Last Ronin though, and then like my favorite is Michelangelo. So kind of The Last Ronin to me, I'm like, okay, I really like this book because of it being Michelangelo and then it being,
Are you telling everybody to say this? Because there was a comment last week as well.
It's almost like I have that planned.
Yeah, I know, right?
I've been giving Steve a hard time because he collects Donatello and he collects The Last Ronin. So I said, so Donatello and Michelangelo, huh? And so he's like, no, it's not Michael. It's The Last Ronin. It's Michelangelo.
I know I realize it's Michelangelo. The figures, however, are specific to that book. But so it's been an ongoing thing.
The armored one and the unarmored one, I've like told Michael, I was like, yeah, I want those. Those are great.
Yeah, they're great. They are really good.
Yeah. So what me and Steve do is we the IDW sells the hardcover books, and they're
pretty
cheap.
expensive.
They're $30 or so a piece, but they collected everything in reading order. So you buy the first one; it has Raphael on the cover, and they're great. I can't give that series enough praise. Now, of course, we're not up to where they are as far as coming out with comics. So I don't know how the comic is now after 100 some odd issues. I'm only on issue like 60. So, but
or
if
even
you're
all
going to go back and read that,
the different breakoffs and stuff now too, right? They have like Turtles and Batman Turtles and I forget all the other breakoffs that they have now.
Yeah, so like there's Turtles and the Ghostbusters and stuff like that, and those are in those books in the reading order that they think it should happen.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, don't get your hopes up for that one. That was the only run in that entire series I did not like.
It was not good.
It was not good.
Yeah, I think the industry is starting to see like, the guys 40s, 50s or whatever, like the 80s, 90s era. Now we actually have money so we can go buy the stuff that we want as a kid, or we're going back and buying all the stuff. So they're like marketing us very well right now. I mean, obviously you can see all the stuff back there too. It's like I'm a kid again.
So I have a friend of mine that always says this. He says, when you're young, you have the energy and the time, but you don't have the money. Then you get middle age, you have maybe
the energy and the money, but not the time.
Yeah, and then everything. There's always something working against you.
And then you have the money and the time.
Now I got the money.
Energy.
I got the time.
Yeah.
Yep. And then when you get older, you don't have the energy, but you have the time and the money. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly. So yeah, I would recommend that. I mean, there's the other Eastman books out there and stuff too for the run. But from what I understand, the IDW run kind of not combines, but it uses traits from all the different kind of books. So the origins kind of share some similarities. And then some of the other characters may be taken from other books, and they're so it kind of throws a lot of stuff together. But yeah, really good.
Have to put on my list. I'm gonna have to partake.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I don't think I've met anyone that doesn't like that run up to a certain point. Some people say the later issues aren't as great, but
right, we'll see. Yeah, once we get there. All right. News and rumors. A bunch of people have made different announcements about books and shows. A lot of DC stuff. So look it up or check it out on other shows. They'll detail it for you better than we ever could. All right.
You have a mail message.
This was a light mail week. We've only got one letter, but it is from a returning writer, Radar from Ottumwa, Iowa. Great list, guys. Jeff, I love your number 6. Jim, your number 1 was my number 1 as well. Steve, do you put any effort into your list at all? That list is just ridiculous. That's kind of interesting there, Radar.
He knows
You'll
everything.
just have to. He does. I don't know how he knows, but he does. Again, we love all the cards and letters we get from you guys. If you'd like to comment or ask us a question, please write in. Send all letters to 1 Yemen Road, Yemen. All right. And that is going to take us into the reason we're here tonight. And that is our top 10 military shows, movies, etc. This was, I know Jim said he had kind of a hard time doing it. I found it pretty simple. I don't know, Jeff, did you find it difficult putting a bunch 10 together or?
You know, it's funny. When I first started, I was like, haven't watched military movies. Then I started just writing down a bunch, and then I was asking my wife like what ones that she liked, and threw a couple at me. I was like, oh, I forgot about each of those. And then right up until there's like a few I kind of changed around, and like I have like a outside the top 10
right
on there too. So.
Good, some honorable mentions. Yeah, as always, our lists sometimes loosely relate to the topic, so if you're watching out there, just be aware of that. So,
number 10.
What's your number 10, Jeff?
My number 10, I'm going to go with Inglourious Basterds. It is somewhat military. I'll say it's somewhat military. I don't know. I like Tarantino films, and like with this one, I guess you could say it's kind of like maybe a part of something you wish happened kind of movie instead of something actually happening. But just the each of the characters, like, you know, I know you love the word gritty, like gritty, dark characters, but I don't know. Each of the different military folks just, I don't know, scream military to me at the same time of how they were, how they acted, and just the depths of the characters, and just the kind of the movie overall was just a fun movie.
Yeah, like other things on my list, I didn't put this on there because I don't remember it that well. I really enjoyed it, but I probably remember it better than half the stuff on my list, so it should have been on it. But
right.
So
what's your number 10 then, Jim?
My number 10 is Dances with Wolves.
Oh, you are loosely.
The whole movie's based on him being in the military.
It's your top 10, right?
Yeah,
it is a fantastic movie.
Putting that up, right? Because like I was trying to do some research of like, oh, it was something else that I haven't seen or looked at. I need to go watch, and like everything's a bunch of war movies, but I do remember that being like recommended as a military like movie. So
the whole movie's based on him being in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I understand it's not really a military movie. But yeah, it's I remember this came out and it was just the talk of the town, and I don't think I can sit through it now, but I mean, it's a great movie. You should.
It is a long one, right? It's longer. I think I remember that. But
what's that?
Yeah, it's a Kevin Costner movie, so it's a long movie.
Yes, it's 3 hours.
Yeah.
No, it is 3.
I am not a fan of 3-hour movies. We all know this. So.
And if you don't want to watch Kevin Costner for 3 hours in this movie, you can watch Avatar.
or Fern Gully.
Or Fern Gully. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But no, it's
I would say my favorite, it's not a military one, but my favorite 3-hour movie would be Django. That's like my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner movie? Is that what you say?
No, Django with oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank on the actors?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah,
Django Unchained.
Yeah, Django Unchained.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I've never actually seen that.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big like crime noir kind of. I don't know, like that and Snatch are my 2 favorite movies overall.
Yeah. All right. Dances with Wolves, like it. My number 10 is The Longest Day. This is from 1962. John Wayne, and it is D-Day told from the perspective of both the German side and the Allied side. And it is, it takes place, it's D-Day, of course, and it's really, really good. I don't remember all the details, but it's definitely one of the best war movies out there from that era. And I think they used a little bit of the similar stories in Band of Brothers. Of course, that was, with the D-Day thing, but yeah, just really good, really good. So
Yeah,
Longest Day.
Band of Brothers was like one I wanted to like. I know we said movie, I was trying to stick to movies, but Band of Brothers is such a great series. Love that
Yeah.
show.
Oh yeah, you definitely should have picked that. I mean, that's,
Sure.
like I tell Steve, I have not finished that, and it's
Right.
I haven't. I just I have HBO Max, so I can watch it anytime. I just for some reason I've never finished it.
I love it. There's the quote from it. I just love the quote of you salute the rank, not the person. Like that's like I don't know. That's still one of the best.
That's
like
pretty
lines
accurate too.
Yeah. Based on the story and what happens through that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I had a hard time because I, of course, I was watching Friends at the time, so having David Schwimmer being their captain right off the bat was pretty drastic for me.
Yeah.
Pivot!
That would have been funny. All right.
Number 9.
Number 9. What you got for number 9, Jeff?
Oh yeah, I didn't know who goes first. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be first every time.
You're gonna be first every time.
I'm a special guest, huh? All right. For number 9, I have American Sniper. Bradley Cooper, Luke Grimes. Just that's American Sniper movie. Just the way that like it depicts the character and the history, and the biggest thing for that one for me is being military folk, and if you've been overseas and you've been deployed and other stuff, and it's kind of the mental state that sometimes you can be in, just be quiet and other things like that. I think it brings out a lot of like other things than just the military. It's coming back home and life and things like that. So really thought it was good.
Yeah, I have not seen this yet.
Oh,
it's good.
It's a good watch.
Yeah, I've heard it was good.
Thanks.
From you.
All right, number 9.
All right, my number 9 is Major Pain. And it's my number 9 for one line. Pop your titty out of the boy's mouth and let him grow up. It's the greatest line in movies. So, sorry, Mom.
I like it when he's talking to the deaf kid. Are you hear me? I'm gonna put my foot in your ass.
Damon Wayans was at his height right then. That was.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
And I don't remember how that movie ends, other than the CNI dog getting shaved. But
yeah,
it made me laugh. I remember that line, and I just remember crying, and I've said it many times in my whole life.
That's funny. Nice. Major Pain. All right. My number 9 is War Games from 1983. Matthew Broderick is a hacker that goes in, and they start doing some war games on the computers. And of course, the computers start thinking that going with the real scenario, and Russia is going to launch nukes, and the U.S. is going to retaliate. And as the computer goes through it, it finally gets to the point where they realize that the U.S. is actually getting ready to launch the real nukes because they see the bombs coming from Russia. They're convinced to hold off. The bombs land, but nothing happens, of course, because it was all part of the war games. And then the computer realizes in the end that the only winning move is not to play. And that's kind of the moral of that whole movie. But it's good. There's a lot of tension in it. It's very 83. It doesn't hold up well today, I don't think. But for the time, it was really good. So
that's I think that one has like bits and pieces like in Cheyenne Mountain or something, or does it like shows outside of that?
Yeah, I think it's at Cheyenne Mountain.
Being a space guy, I probably should have picked that one in my top 10, but just the way that movie is and the way like the scenario stuff plays out, like that's, I don't know, it's a safe environment.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
What makes me mad is that reminded me of another movie that should have been on my list.
Number 8.
All right, Jeff, number 8.
All right. Number 8. I switched this one last minute because I was like, I want to throw this one in there. Captain America, the First Avenger.
Cheater. You cheater. Oh, man.
We have to put it in there, right? Because although I think Winter Soldier is probably like one of my favorite Marvel films, I still have to put Captain America as First Avenger just because it is, us being comic guys, us being military guys.
Yeah.
Like this has to be a list or somewhere. And I've even got a Captain America tattoo on my arm, on my sleeve. So huge fan of the character. Chris Evans, and now Anthony Mackie. I think both great Captain America actors. The roles that they play, even the series that they had on Disney Plus. I don't know. I've loved that whole series, that whole character.
Yeah. Sometimes, Jim, we just fail at this game. Like,
Yeah. Well, now to be fair, so I own Captain America: The First Avenger. It might be the only Marvel movie I own on disc, and it's one of the few that I don't particularly enjoy, except for
Really?
the military training scene.
yeah,
When he jumps on the grenade. I think that's awesome. When he pulls the plug out of the flag, I think that's fantastic.
I love the flag scene. I don't know, of all the training ones, the flag one was
Yeah. The rest of the movie, I'm not a big fan of, so it wouldn't have made my list even if I thought of it.
the flag scene was very much reminiscent of Will Smith pulling the table over to him in Men in Black. Like, how obvious.
Yeah.
So, all right. What do you got, Jim? Number 8.
All right, my number 8 is going to be Top Gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is my number 3.
my number 4.
I'm going to let you talk about it at 3 because I don't want to talk about Top Gun. If I start thinking about volleyball, I get all hot and bothered.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about it once we get up the list. All right. My number 8 is The Final Countdown. Not only did it give us a great song for Arrested Development.
That's my number 7.
There you go. The U.S. Nimitz aircraft carrier ends up going through a portal, taking it back to 1941 near Hawaii, the night before the Pearl Harbor attack. So you end up with F-14s in 1941. Of course, the whole moral argument comes up of should we get involved? What kind of paradox will this create? Should we change things? They decide to not really get involved. They leave. They end up going back to the portal, back to their time. A few things have changed, but nothing major. Everything, the war still went on. Everything still went on. Kirk Douglas, Martin Sheen, a great cast, great music, cool time travel. Military and time travel. You got me hooked.
I remember Kirk Douglas in it. Oh, he was. Yeah. I think the only thing that really changed was the girl lived on the boat, right?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, it's been.
And then there was a guy. There was a guy at the end who was like, okay, that remembered everything. Who was like, okay, we got to talk. Once they got back, he remembered.
I enjoy that.
Been there,
I can never remember the title of that movie. I have to Google it every time, the plot. But
and you never watched Arrested Development, right?
No.
So, did you watch Arrested Development, Jeff?
Is that the TV show or no?
Yeah, the TV show.
Yeah, I've seen some bits and pieces of it. I haven't seen all.
Yeah,
of it.
so the one brother played by Will Arnett, he does some stage magician stuff, and he's real cheesy and corny, and he always comes out to the Final Countdown song, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's a fun movie. Fun movie.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Number 7.
Number 7.
All right, my number 7 is We Were Soldiers. Had Mel Gibson and Sam Elliott in it. And I have to say the biggest reason I picked this film is because of Sam Elliott. Like, I feel like you have to pick a movie with that guy in it. Just the way he is, the way he acts, and especially in this movie. My favorite kind of one of the parts I love about it is I don't know if it's the sergeant or when they're walking and they're crossing paths and he doesn't know what to say to him or anything because he's just scared crapless of Sam Elliott walking by and he's like, good day, isn't it, sir? And he's like, what the hell are you, the damn weatherman? He's walking by him, and I love every.
That was in the first 5 minutes of the movie too.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then the other part of that to me, like military, I think the big other part of this movie that people, if you haven't seen, is the kind of togetherness that the families have. Like their husbands are on, they're fighting, they're going off having a war. And then the women and the children and everybody kind of are living in that community. They're kind of being with each other, supporting each other, helping each other out. And I've seen that throughout my military career. A lot of times if somebody, has to deploy or go somewhere else, everybody else tries to kind of step in and get groceries, mow a lawn or other things. So I like that other dynamic of it, of the family in the background kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this movie didn't make my list because I don't remember anything past like the first 10 minutes, and him being the last one off the field. But that movie had two things that I remember was Sam Elliott is every first sergeant I've ever seen,
Yeah.
and Mel Gibson is every captain everyone wants, but don't have. So
Yeah, it was a good movie. Again, not on my list for the same. I've got all these movies that are coming into my head right now that every time you guys mention something, I think of like 3 more that were not on my list. But that's definitely a good one.
yes,
Nice,
great one.
good pick. All right, what's your number 7, Jim?
It's Final Countdown.
Oh, that's right, cheater. All right, my number 7 is The Dirty Dozen. 1967, an army major has to train 12 convicted murderers to go assassinate a bunch of German officers the night before D-Day. The cast of this movie: Lee Marvin, Ernest Borgnine, Charles Bronson, Jim Brown, Telly Savalas, Donald Sutherland. So many people in it. But this is really kind of a 1960s version of The Expendables, right? I mean, it's a little different, but they take all these dirt bags and have to go assassinate all these Germans. Officers the night before D-Day. So that's my number 7.
I have not seen it.
I was reading about it, and Lee Marvin said he hated the movie. He was the main star. He thought it was the cheesiest, corniest movie he'd ever made. But that's
My
probably why.
computer battery is down, so I'm going to have to plug it in real quick.
Okay. All right. There he goes, Jeff. Right now, Jeff is plugging in his computer.
He's got a
while
great
he's doing that.
backside.
Yeah, he does. Very nice. Very nice. You good?
I hope so. Guess I'll find.
Yeah, we'll find out, won't we? Cool. All
It may-
right.
It may be a bottom 4 list for you.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Number 6.
All right. You're
All right.
Jeff.
Number 6.
Yeah, for number 6, and this is hilarious. Like I tried to find this movie in a couple of areas and spots. It did not. It was hard one to try and find. It's Men of Honor. Men of Honor was Cuba Gooding Jr., Robert Rowe, and it's the Navy film, and it was the character that he was playing. It's kind of during that era, like 1948 is what it looks like, and he was determined to overcome racism by becoming the first Black American Navy diver. So, growing up as a kid, I really liked, for some reason, Cuba Gooding Jr. Just like he was an actor, his style, and just kind of that end scene. Yeah, you can find it on YouTube where it's like that 12 steps of him, kind of with one leg, harnessing, getting on that gear, walking the 12 different steps with like 270 pounds of all that metal. Just kind of, to me, especially for like military, just that perseverance, kind of that honor. And you just, there are a lot of things that you can do that you never thought you could do. And it just, I don't know, just that was a really good movie. And Robert De Niro, just kind of being that stern guy and giving him so much hard time and issue, but just so much respect at the same time, which I thought was great.
Didn't he spend the whole movie with the pocket watch?
He had a pipe, so he had like a smoking pipe quite a bit. I don't know if he had the watch or not.
Well, I'm trying to remember because it's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, that one, when it came out in 2000 is when it came out.
Really? Boy, that's sooner than what I thought, though. I mean, it's only 23 years ago.
Yeah, that makes sense because that would have been shortly after
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire, a couple years after that. So he was kind of a big deal at the time.
Yeah.
Great actor.
My number 6 is Jerry Maguire. I'm just kidding. My number 6 is The A-Team.
Oh, you cheat.
Probably doesn't paint the military in the best light, but it's The A-Team.
You talking the movie or the TV show?
Either one. You can go with either
Okay.
one.
Okay.
There's 2 on my list. You can go with either one.
Okay.
So,
So the movie with Rampage Jackson and Mr. T.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Played the
there,
A. Yeah.
I was a UFC fan. I already liked the A-Team, but then like that he played that part, and he really loved that he got to play that part. I have a signed like UFC shirt, him and Bones Jones on. So I have his signature on a shirt.
oh, that's awesome. I was always a Murdoch fan. I think even
Yeah.
though me and Face have the same last name.
That's right. Yeah. You
But
do.
yeah, it's I enjoyed that show. I remember it was one of the first shows in the evening that
I just love that they would go into a empty warehouse and come out with a fully armored tank.
I know they're like kind of like MacGyver
Yeah.
and
Yep. Very much so.
yeah. I mean, they never hurt anyone. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun.
Good
It's
show.
fun. All right. My number 6 is Good Morning Vietnam.
That's my number 3.
Nice. We'll wait till number 3 then.
It's not on my list because I couldn't tell you how it ended.
Oh. Kind of like Vietnam itself, right?
Yeah, well, I know how that ended.
Okay.
Number 5.
I love that you're not going to talk about Good Morning Vietnam at all. You
No,
didn't
wait
even-
until Jeff's number 3.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
Now I feel like I'm putting like all the pressure on me because I picked it as a lower number.
that's why we bring guests on.
Make them talk. Make them.
Yeah,
talk.
Yeah,
he
right.
eases my burden of carrying Steve.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
So,
My number 5 is Top Gun. I know you guys. I thought you guys were talking about it like a little earlier, and
Okay.
even the second one I thought was really really good. So
yeah.
For me,
Yeah, that's my
for me,
number
Top
3.
Gun, yeah, like the motorcycle, the actors, the haircut, all. And even it's like up as a kid because I mean, gosh, I'm trying to think of when that came out. That came out in '86. Even as a 6-year-old kid, the music and the soundtrack and everything else to it. I don't know. It was just like you wanted to be those characters, right? It was just
Yeah,
kind of like
Danger
that
Zone.
kind of.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember that's got to be one of the first cassettes I remember buying. Was Danger Zone.
I'm sure my dad has the record somewhere. That's how we listened to it.
Then him and Kelly McGinnis making out and just good lord, I felt like
Yeah.
I hit the movie Jackload. Jackload.
Get Kelly McGinnis out of your head.
I got my images mixed up. Motherload.
Yeah, Jackpot. Yeah. And like talking about it too, it reminds me of the gosh, what was the movie that kind of like made fun of it? Hot Shots, wasn't Hot Shots? And I remember
With
the scene
Charlie
where they're
Sheen.
like,
Yeah.
trying to make that scene right, and he's like cracking the egg on her, and it's like frying
Yeah.
her stomach, or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny. Nice. Yeah. All right. What's your number 5, Jim?
My number 5 is MASH.
So
Just a
TV
great
show or
show.
movie, same thing.
Me and my it's although the last time I watched the movie MASH, I was in the Army, so
Ah.
and I watched it. We watched it quite a bit while we were in the Army for some reason. But the TV show, me and my wife are watching the show again right now.
Right.
We're only 3 episodes in, so I won't pretend like we're far. But it's just a great show. Again, I don't think it's an accurate depiction of the military, but maybe for a medical unit, I don't know. I was never part of a medical unit, so
Well, medical units are
That's their
completely
environment.
different. Like, I remember, I don't know what it was like in the Army back then. I can only speak for when I was in the Air Force. And you go into the doctor's office. I remember sitting in the dentist seat, and the dentist was a colonel or a major, and then the dental assistant was a E4. And they were sitting there talking, calling each other by first name, talking about the party at the house that coming next weekend. So yeah, there was not. I mean, they're all there mostly for. Of course, during Vietnam, they were all drafted, so they didn't want to be there anyway. But a lot of the doctors in the Air Force are there just to get their own private practice when they get out. So they're not real
Yeah,
big on the military side of
pay for their
things. So,
schooling.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
But-
funny you bring up like the first name thing. Like my unit, there's got to be, I don't know, 6 to 8 different lieutenant colonels, and yeah, a lot of times it's Sergeant Howell. It's not Jeff. We have to
Right.
stay professional.
Yeah, for sure. All right. My number 5, Red Dawn, the original one.
This is one that I was thinking about when you were. I was like, you just reminded me of another movie, Red Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, Jennifer.
Charlie Sheen?
Yeah.
Emilio
Yeah,
Estevez.
well, he was.
Emilio Estevez.
Charlie Sheen's in it too.
I don't remember that for some reason. I mean, I'm not doubting you.
Yeah, because Charlie Sheen's in love with. Don't you remember him watching Patrick Swayze with the girl from Dirty
If I
Dancing?
remembered it, it would be on my list.
That's true. Okay, that's
Yeah.
right.
It does have Charlie Sheen in there. I have like
Yeah.
a couple. It does. Yep, he was in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just don't remember him for some reason.
yeah, he was. But just a great movie.
Jennifer Grey was in that, right?
Jennifer Grey. That's the Jennifer I was thinking of. Yeah, the girl from Dirty Dancing is how I described her. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, good movie.
So just the fact that kids from a school fought off a Russian invasion in their hometown. I almost wish that they would have went further with a sequel at some point with what happened after, the expansion, just away from where they were. But it was pretty much perfect as it was. So I just remember one of my favorite parts is when they're chasing Jennifer Grey through the field and they pop up out of the ground and start shooting all the soldiers chasing them.
I remember them make him eat the deer heart.
What? Yeah, eat the heart. Yep.
It's funny because that came out in '84. I didn't see it until like late 2000s when we were working shift. Like we were just having general conversation on shift, and somebody started bringing up Red Dawn. I was like, "What are you talking about? What is that?" And like, I almost got slapped because I hadn't seen it. Like, what are you talking about? It was like the next day it was in the player. We were sitting there watching it. So
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool movie. So that was number 5.
Number 4.
all right, my number 4. I have A Few Men. Just really, really. I don't. For me, the biggest thing is just like the way that the lawyers are sitting there. They're talking. They're thinking. He has to have, all the time that they're sitting there trying to figure out how they can catch him, how they can get him. Kind of me with this movie, it's how you can get people to kind of slip up, right? Like there's the part of you're following orders, you're doing what it is that you're told, right? You're military, you should be following those orders, but at the same time, it's kind of like, all right, but should I really be doing what happened? Should I really be doing this? Like there's kind of that other counter piece of where your brain should kick in and be like, I probably shouldn't do this stuff, even though I was kind of ordered to do it. And then just pull out Jack Nicholson, right? Like that whole epic, scene and stuff like that. So,
And it's my number 1.
It's my number 1 as well.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, maybe I should let you guys talk.
Well, I don't mind talking about it now.
We'll talk more about it once we get to number 1.
Okay.
I mean, we've already said it, but we'll talk more just so that we're not like number 1.
Jeff
Okay.
really likes movies with Cuba Gooding Jr.
What?
That's why it's my list, okay?
Is Cuba Gooding Jr.'s in that?
Cuba Gooding Jr., Nora Wiley. There's all kinds of actors in that movie. Yeah, it was
trying to
before
think of
Cuba
what-
Gooding Jr. was big. It's one of his first movies.
Ah, okay. All right.
All right, so my number 4 is G.I. Joe. I don't think there's any surprise here. It's well documented on our show that I love G.I. Joe. And I'm not the biggest fan of the movies here, so this is strictly the cartoon.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the toys. Mostly the toys. I still love
Isn't
them.
it like you've seen like the G.I. Joe like characters like here lately, like they have the same, kind of plastic board background, and then the character inside, like paint looks the same, but it's not the same, band metal attachments that you used to have where you'd, me and my brother, we'd pull those things apart, pick them apart, do all kinds of different attachments with all the different G.I. Joe characters and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if you're talking about the old O-ring figures from the 80s, or if you're talking about.
Oh no, I'm probably talking so this is probably maybe like late 80s, like 90s, where the figures were. Gosh, I'm trying to think like how big would it be. like 6-inch, 7-inch, or whatever. They were very mobile. It wasn't the larger, bigger ones. It was like
Yeah, see, I never had the original GI Joe toys.
Right.
And so when I got into them, it was in 85, 84. Can't remember exactly when it came out. But I don't remember a whole lot of interchangeable parts besides the weapons, which you lost anyway. But yeah,
we were taking it apart all the time. Man, that was just me and my brother just being dumb. But
yeah. And so there was an O-ring in there that you can unhook and hook different torsos to different bodies and stuff like that. That what teenage boy hasn't done that. But wasn't even a teenager.
Even the animated GI Joe movie too, right? Like that was wasn't that the introduction of I can't think of the name right now. Obviously not Cobra Commander, but the snake guy. I thought that was like
Serpentor.
Serpentor.
Well, I honestly don't remember. I thought he came in a mini series on the cartoon, but I could be wrong because
I just remember that I remember that the big part of like that movie and just kind of his regime and kind of like taking over as far as like the animated movie was. I remember that.
Once the movie came out, that's when I was tapering out of GI Joe. My favorite thing in GI Joe was the first 5-part miniseries they had. It was called The Mass Device, and that was, to me, that I still go back and watch that occasionally. But again, another show that rank didn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's my number 4, GI Joe.
All right, my number 4 is Band of Brothers and Pacific. I'm going to throw the two of them together. I actually prefer Pacific slightly over Band of Brothers, but they're just both great. 10 episodes each, and it goes just through everything that they went through, and it's just brutal, especially looking back on just the conditions, especially in the Pacific, and all the muck and the water and the trench foot and all that stuff. And then in Band of Brothers, being out in the freezing weather with no food and running out of ammo and that sort of thing. And conditions are so much better, we're so much more prepared now than we were at that time, for sure, as a military. But just brutal what they went through. And there's some pretty rough scenes in both of those shows. But yeah, just probably some of the best war stuff that there's ever been on TV.
I'm mad that you said it's only 10 episodes and I haven't made it through it. That just makes me mad.
Yeah. Well, you want to know how it ends?
I'm assuming with an atomic bomb.
Nice. Definitely, when you're done watching Modern Family, get over to Band of Brothers. All right.
Number 3.
Unless you wanted to talk more about Band of Brothers and Pacific, Jeff, we can move on to number 3.
I haven't watched the Pacific one, but I did like the Band of Brothers show. You have to like get through that one because there are like a lot of like different slow moments for it. But Band of Brothers is just, I don't know, has great moments.
Yeah. All right. So number 3.
Number 3 we were talking about earlier is Good Morning Vietnam. Just for me, just being a kid, this was probably nobody in my family has ever been military. Like I'm like the one guy that has military. My wife, her entire family was military. She was actually born overseas. She was just a military brat. But like this to me was just, as growing up a kid, that's kind of what military, my vision kind of like looked like, is what military was kind of be. And, Robin Williams still, I would say probably one of my favorite actors ever. Just what he brought to the scene and just his comedy and everything else he had, and Forrest Whitaker was too, and just the Saigon, and if you've been overseas or been like on a base and you're eating a suck at that point in time, it really reminds me of like that military like network kind of stuff too that they would have the show that would play. Like if you're overseas, there's like that specific channel that you can watch. It's the only channel it's like in English that you can watch. That's the
AFN, yeah.
channel. Yeah, AFA. So it just kind of reminds me of that one. I just thought the overall movie was just great. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's
Good movie.
it's hilarious. And you know, when he locks himself in the room when he's broadcasting, and I'm probably remembering this wrong, but that was based on an actual character, right? On an actual person. I believe it was. I believe he, the guy, it was an actual person that he
Yeah,
played.
I have no clue.
So
It's in most of Williams' performances that portrayed the video broadcast were improvisations. So I don't know if the scene itself was. Let's see. I was doing my homework. I was trying to put everything together before got
Right.
here.
Wow, you did more than we do.
Yeah, I had to take it serious. It's my experience.
Had to class up the joint.
Right.
nice. All right. So, and what was your number 3, Jim?
My number 3 is The Patriot.
Oh, dang, that's a good one too.
Yeah,
And you're talking about the
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson one and not the Steven Seagal one, right?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes. Mel Gibson, Heath Ledger, and other people. Yeah, this is a movie I can watch almost on repeat. It's very good. It's
I
Yep.
was like, should I put it in there? I was like, is this military? Of course it's military, but I was just, I don't know. It was one I thought about later on after I'd made my list.
yeah, well, it's more military than 90% of my other choices. I almost put Short Circuit on my list. You can ask me. Yeah, it's probably been a little while since I've actually watched this movie all the way through, but I can't even remember who plays the bad guy.
I don't remember.
Anyway, Mel Gibson played the Ghost, which I believe was loosely based on a real character,
Ghost, a real ghost.
a real person. Yes, a real ghost.
Yeah.
I wish I would have said that. That would have been great.
Nice.
Yeah, but him not wanting to go to war, I mean, I think we can all understand with that, and then being forced into it, and then losing 2 boys, and
Yeah.
he gave up a lot for that. Just great.
Nice. Good movie.
Yeah.
All right. And we
Jason-
talked about go ahead.
Jason Isaacs was the bad guy. I was looking. That's what.
Still don't know who that
That's
is.
the actor's name, I guess.
Nice.
And my number 3 was Top Gun. I mentioned before a couple weeks ago that I like the new one too. I still actually prefer the original, although I like the mission part of the new one much better than the original, as far as the action and suspense of it. But the overall story of the original is still my favorite. So you can't beat Top Gun. All right.
Number 2.
Well, I guess you can beat Top Gun because it was only my number 3. So it's kind of a stupid statement. All right.
In a show full of them, how could you?
For my number 2, I have Saving Private Ryan.
My number
Tom
2 as
Hanks.
well.
Tom Hanks is the actor. Matt Damon, just like so many good actors in that movie. It was just like great, and it was just, to me, kind of that background too, right? Like how many times, right? They had the mission, they had to find him, they had to find the troop. The rest of the family had been gone. They were losing so many people, and they were trying to find him. And so many times they could have just like grabbed somebody up and be like, "Yep, that's him." And it was like, no, we have a mission. We have to go find him. We have to persevere. We have to get through this. We have to go find. And it was just great cast of folks. And Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, and then I'm going to murder his last name, Tom Sizemore.
Tom Sizemore.
I thought
Sizemore, yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Yes, this is my number 2 as well. Just a fantastic movie. From them not wanting, like, why is this guy so special, to finding him, and then like him being like, why am I so special? It was great interaction, not interaction, but I guess plot. It was just a really good plot. And then the scene where they're throwing all the dog tags, going through it, and the company's going through. It's just you kind of can understand both sides of that. They're doing their job, they're going through all these things, and then people just watching them throw their buddies' tags on the ground. So everything in that movie was well done. From even Tom Hanks' background story that he brings up. He was a teacher, correct? Or was he?
Yeah, and he had the shaky hands and everything.
Yeah, it's not the greatest thing, but that was kind of the reality of it, of the war. Is people are thrust into positions that they never wanted. So it's just, it's a great movie.
Nice.
Steve?
Good choices. I like it. It didn't make my top 10, but I like it. There's actually a few I'm thinking of now that probably should have been on my list, but what are you going to do? My number 2 is Full Metal Jacket.
It's my number 1.
Is it?
But I want you to talk about it.
You want me to wait for you, or you want me to go ahead and talk? We can talk
No,
about it now.
go ahead.
Okay.
Well, he's next, so you might as well talk
you're
about
next.
it.
That's right. So, the basic training thing is, I know in the early 90s, it wasn't as intense as it was preparing for Vietnam, if you were in the Marine Corps, but still the memories that it evokes of basic training, of getting yelled at for doing absolutely nothing wrong, wasting so much time doing nothing. And just from the moment they all get their heads shaved, I remember that. I remember there was a guy that came in. Well, actually, I remember getting off the bus in San Antonio, and the TI was walking around asking people why they joined. And one kid said, I joined because I didn't have nothing better to do. And that basically for the next 6 weeks made his life hell. We had guys that had the real long hair that got it shaved off that were actually crying coming out from behind the curtain after getting the shots in the arm. The guys that came into basic with their head shaved, thinking that they weren't going to have to get their head shaved, and the TIs made them sit in the seat anyway, and they took the clippers over it just so they had to go through the same thing as everybody else. To me, it's extremely realistic. The second half of the movie is great too, but the first half, the basic training part, is it's so real. Yeah, I assume you would agree with that, Jeff.
Oh yeah. I think the biggest thing about the movie, right, is like if you're a military guy, you go through basic, wherever it is, wherever you go through, and you always, at least for me, like there's always vivid memories of the different things that you did at basic, and just the stress and the, I didn't join until I was 25, so I joined like really, really late. I was married, already had a kid.
That's got to be rough.
Yeah.
How old were you? I'm sorry, you cut out.
I was 25 when I joined, so I was much older. I already had a kid, married. I was one of the older guys. I was an elevator, so I slept by the door that the came through. So I never slept. Like I did sleep the whole time I was like down there. But I just like had in the for Air Force, you have like the day room where everybody sits there. You go in there and they'll read the mail or bring those different stuff in there. And I remember a guy was like feeling on the wall. I don't know why, but he was just standing at the doorway, feeling the wall. And of course, TIs, right? They're gonna just scream and yell at you for anything. And he just starts making all these noises and sounds like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "The wall is not a female. Stop doing that." And just funny stuff like that. I remember the other one was there was a guy, the guy on, that carries the flag when you're marching in flight and stuff. And one guy was getting his arm was just he was losing strength in it, and he had to go get his arm looked at. And this other guy that stepped in for him, the TI instructor, like, because he was all over the place, like he wasn't following anything, he wasn't following anybody. Like we'd say go straight, and this kid was like, I guess he just didn't want the job. Like you'll see that in the military, right? And he slams the guidon, top piece like flies off of the guidon. And I remember him saying, I no longer want you to carry anything smarter than yourself. And it was just, so it's just, that's what I think of basic.
I was thinking about this today about basic training and how if you can just do what they say, don't be invisible, but just keep your mouth shut and just go through. My problem was I made myself too invisible, and so they made me the platoon guide. And then, so I had to push every time. I remember the drill sergeant coming up to me and saying, well, you might be the worst platoon guide we've ever had, but you sure going to be able to push. And he was right. I did a lot of pushing with the rock on my back.
Yeah.
Yeah. The funny part for me too at basic, when I went the unit that I started with, actually the guy was in my flight or in the same everything. He was down my row as an element leader. We went to the same unit, so it was kind of interesting that I actually was in basic with somebody that I was with, my career. It's kind of interesting.
I just remember too, for the first week with everybody with their shaved heads, you couldn't tell the difference between anybody. And then it seems like
even the guy in the mirror looked different.
Yeah. Well, I'd never shaved my face before going to basic. I went in 2 weeks after, or about 2 months after I graduated high school, so I was 18, and I'd never had to shave.
I turned 23 in basic.
And they made us shave no matter what, because if there was any fuzz at all, it wasn't good. So that was a first. When you're getting yelled at, holding a razor in your hand for the first time, that's always fun. Yeah, man, the memories. So many memories. Yep. I ended up being a road guard because I was almost at the max weight at the time. So I don't know if the Army does road guards when they're marching, but
I think everyone does road guards. You run out in front of a platoon and stop.
Yeah, so we were at the back of the flight, and we had to do most of all the running and carrying the canteens and all that stuff. I lost 25 pounds in 6 weeks in basic. Yeah.
It's always those basic pictures, right? Your face is just like.
Yeah. And I remember nobody pooped for like the first week and a half. And I think everybody pooped on the same day. It was just.
I think mine was like warrior. Like I was that tight. It was like.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Just crazy. Just crazy. All right. So that takes us to number 1. And we know that you're number 1. And hold on. I got to run it, even though we're. There we go.
Number 1.
We've already mentioned what everybody's number 1 is. But Jeff, yours again was Full Metal Jacket. And mine and Jim's were both A Few Good Men.
Okay, so that's your number 1 as well?
Yes, it's my number 1 as well.
Yeah, this was one of the first Blu-rays I ever bought, just because I knew I would watch it over and over again, or I could. Everybody in this cast is fantastic. I mean, Kevin Pollak, I think, is brilliant in the movie. Tom Cruise is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr. plays one of the people at Guantanamo Bay. One of the soldiers. Not a major line or nothing. He takes a witness stand.
Oh, you're okay. I remember now. Yeah.
There's for not having a whole lot of action in this movie, it sure keeps you invested.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, like Jeff was saying, just the interaction with Tom Cruise and Kevin Bacon, they're buddies when they're not.
But he's a lousy,
arguing with each other.
He's a lousy softball player.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, it comes down to Jack's speech on the stand that just is so memorable.
Oh yes.
This is a movie. There's like 3 movies I have that if I'm flipping through channels and it's on, I have to stop, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think for specific. I mean, me and you went through the whole spill the other day on Twitter.
We did.
I'm trying to. I don't know.
But yeah, like Jeff was saying, it comes down to where you draw the line on what orders you follow. If you're, what's the moral obligation? If you're trained to never question orders, then at what point do you question them?
Because when you don't follow orders, people die.
Right.
Nice. I would say today, well, at least in my environment, like Air Force, Space Force, things like that, like I would say it's like almost like the opposite. You have to think of things like differently, more now than ever before with,
Right.
cybersecurity, different and things and stuff that are out there. It's like you have to question almost everything.
Yeah. I think things have changed a lot too. Again, I was told when I was probably an E2 or E3 at the time, and was told that if your NCOIC or first sergeant tells you to go jump in the lake, and then when you go complain about it, you better be soaking wet. Of course, now it's like if they were to tell you to do that, then you would be stupid, and you should definitely question that. But it's just the change from the times as you move along on what's accepted and what's not accepted. But yeah, that's definitely in that movie. That's I imagine there's been several people who struggle with that sort of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny you talk about the soaking wet. Bring back another basic military training. They were showing us the obstacle course, down there in San Antonio, and they're walking us through before we actually do it. And there's like a ladder that you have to climb across, like the little bit of water, and there's like two ladders. They kind of said the men's and the women's one, and they were like, "Can somebody go across real quick?" And guy raises his hand. He goes across the women's one, and he slips. And so you're supposed to be dry by the time you fish it. So this guy, just in them showing, it's all like wet. So they're like, "All right, go get your uniform, go put it on, because you got to go get through this obstacle course." It was everybody was like he fell. Oh no.
yeah. So, yeah. What's your favorite part of that movie? You think, Jim?
Get away, cat. I'm sorry. My cat's going crazy back here.
There's so much.
Well, yeah, I mean, that speech is great. I like little things in that movie when they're getting ready to fly to Guantanamo Bay and Kevin Pollak tells them to take adrenaline. I don't get nervous. I get nervous about crashing into the ground. Yeah. Anyway,
Right.
What is that medicine? It's gonna drive me
Dramamine?
crazy that I can't say it.
Dramamine?
Dramamine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm in the Air Force. I have to take plenty of that every time I get on a plane.
Yeah, just little lines in that.
The thinking bat. That's great.
Yeah, the typewriter school for
Yeah.
broken typewriter maintenance. I don't know. I can't remember everything.
Yeah.
Demi Moore, she was great too in that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there was not a bad performance in this movie.
I think one of my favorite parts is with the because it's the only Air Force related part is when Airman O'Malley's out in the stands or at the stands out in the seat.
Yeah.
And Jack's freaking out like, what's he doing here? Oh, we'll get to just a look on his face when he says, we'll get to Airman O'Malley in a minute. And the way they both look at him, the looks on their faces. It's funny. And that's the point, I guess, in the movie where Tom Cruise has Jack Nicholson exactly where he wants him. So
I'm going to let this cat out.
Okay.
Or I'm going to just chase it under the bed.
There you go. That'll work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's
a great movie. It's a great movie.
It's a fantastic movie. It's
all right.
The Pickup Private.
The Pickup Private. The way he describes him, yeah. So innocent.
Yeah.
So innocent.
Yeah. She outranks you. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's just, the whole movie's great.
Yeah. So
what are with the way that Jack Nicholson, the blurring out kind of like, he untouchable, kind of officer guy. The other thing I kind of think about in my career, a lot of times I've met folks that have like been enlisted that have gone to be O's, and those are like probably some of the best officers you could ever work with, just because they understand like a lot of the different enlisted folks and things like that. So
yeah,
I just for a lot of those folks to think like they're untouchable and what they say goes, it's kind of like, no, there's the law too.
Yeah,
that's why I like the warrant officers so much in the Army. It's because a lot of them came from the enlisted rank and went to warrant officer school.
Right. Yeah, the prior enlisted officers are always, well, not always, but most of the time seem to be a lot better. So,
Yeah.
all right, so that is our top 10. Again, Jeff's number 1 is Full Metal Jacket, and Jim and I both went with A Few Good Men. So, any honorable mentions? Jeff, you got any honorable mentions?
I really wanted to put Tropic Thunder in my top 10, but I decided not to. I really wanted to put that in there, but
that works for me. I like it.
And it's funny because like when that came out, working shift work, I swear, as soon as that thing came out on DVD, it was on every night for months. Like it was just played nonstop. So originally when it came out, I didn't like it, but then like later on, I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty funny. But it was just like on repeat all the time. I was like, can you play something else?
So, I think I took my 9-year-old nephew to see this in the theater. I had no clue. I had no clue it was because I think I had just I don't know. I just come back from a season in Alaska, so I didn't even know anything about it. And so his mom said, "Yeah, you can take him." Okay. I had no clue what I was in store for.
Are you sitting there like looking at him, looking at your kid like, I go? Or do I just get through this movie?
Yeah, I just pretend I didn't understand what anything was going on. I was like, I don't even know what that means.
That did not happen.
Yeah.
Some of the ones I had, Black Hawk Down. I had that one on there. Hurt Locker. That was a real good one too. That I have on there. Thin Line.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I did have MASH and Band of Brothers, but I just since they were like shows, like I kind of had them as like honorable mentions. But yeah, like when you were about MASH, right? If you say MASH, all you can think about is the theme song, like right away, like just that ingrained in you. And I always remember as a kid for MASH, like that's when you had the UHF, VHF. My brother and I would have black and white TVs, so when MASH would come on, you were watching that at night because it would like come on TV and it'd be on our black and white TV that we turned on. So it was always on in the background.
It's the first show I remember my parents liking, and so it took me a little longer to get into it because who likes the stuff their parents do. But
what was that movie?
Just a great show.
What was that movie that came out last year, the year before? They're in Afghanistan, and they're kind of down in between the mountains, where they're in like this little hole, not a hole, but they're kind of fenced in all around them, and they can't get out, and they end up getting attacked. Oh man,
I think we literally watched. Yeah, I think we literally watched that the other day. I know it's on Netflix. I know exactly. But I can't think of the name either.
It is really good. It's brutal too, though, and I think it was a true story as well. Another one for me is Bridge Over the River Kwai. That's an older one. That's a really good war movie. Braveheart, I guess, is a.
My wife suggested that.
Yeah,
I've never made it all the way through Braveheart.
No, it's a long movie,
and I have trouble with accents.
And then we have, just to kind of go off on a little tangent here. Being in the military and you watch military movies, and there's little things that you catch they're much better now. But I remember watching. Oh, what's it called? Lou Gossett Jr.
Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Iron Eagle. And so in that movie, I think Lou Gossett Jr. is the major, and there is a colonel, and the colonel salutes the major. And then they also refer to it several times as Ramstein Air Force Base, which just annoys me to no end. But these are just little things
to me, nobody watching. Saluting.
Yeah.
It just drives
and the fact that my favorite scene in that movie is this kid just steals a jet from the base. What's he think? He's Tom Cruise in Top Gun, the new Top Gun.
Well, to be fair,
flies.
Tanks have been stolen from bases.
And then says, he's late getting to where he's going, so he turns on the music to make up time when he's flying.
Yes, that makes you
fantastic. Yeah, it does. And then one more movie is Bridge of Spies. That's Tom Hanks. That's with the U-2 pilot that crashed, was taken prisoner. in West Germany, or the transition took place in West Germany, right? He came down in Russia, was transferred to West Germany, and then they did the whole prison swap thing. That's a real good one, Bridge of Spies. So.
Hogan's Heroes.
Oh man, yeah.
I was obsessed with Hogan's Heroes when I was in high school. I love that show.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it though.
Anyway,
Like talking about like the movies and with the rank, like so could Transformers be a military movie? They have like the Air Force and different rank and talking about the rank. I think like from one movie to the next, they jump like 4 ranks like to the like. Really?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden he was a chief after like it was like a tech. You're like, what? And lieutenant to like major or lieutenant colonel. You're like, okay, all right.
Yeah. So I was stationed in England when Transformers was filmed, and they did a lot of filming in London and around that area, and they sent a lot of people from the base down as extras in the movie. So I didn't get to go, but I know a couple people who did.
That's a good story.
That was pretty cool. My claim to fame is I knew some people who were extras in a movie.
That's my claim to fame with the show. I do it with Steve.
Yeah.
that knew some guys that did a movie.
Hey, zero claims to fame, none whatsoever.
Right. All right. Well, I think that's just about going to do it for us tonight. Good list and a fun show. Do you know what we have coming up next week, Jim?
I don't, because I don't know if Sonny's going to do it next week or the following week or when we're doing it. So,
well, next week will be our season 1 finale. Our season 1 finale. It'll be episode 20, season 1 finale. So we'll try and have something for you. Either that or it'll be the lamest season finale ever.
You've mentioned this to me like 5 times, and I still don't even know what it means.
You guys got to get the pouch on, because then that way when the pouch is on and then you have your different pouches awards,
That's what it's for. That's absolutely what it's for. Yeah. So we've been trying to get him for a while.
Well, he's been on. He did the Christmas episode, but
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot that he was there.
So maybe you don't need to come back.
Was he just as quiet there as he was, during the show?
No, yeah, he was actually pretty good. Yeah, he was pretty good. So.
Yeah,
But thanks for being here, Jeff. That was a lot of fun.
I appreciate having me on.
Good list. I like doing that list. And how did your game turn out?
They actually won. They were at Kentucky, beat Kentucky. Surprisingly that they did, but it looked
nice.
they after the 3-game throbbing that they've been getting, looks like they were actually pretty decent. So it looks like they did win. So, but
good deal.
Today the Big 12, I don't know. Oklahoma, who's unranked, beat number 2 Alabama, and then West Virginia, who isn't ranked, beat Auburn, who is ranked. So I don't know. Big 12's got a lot of different competition.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Any last words, Jim?
No, I've got nothing.
All right. You got nothing. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. And we will definitely see you guys next week. Take care.
Have a good one.